Tommy had barely lifted his bottle to take another drink when something caught the corner of his eye. A movement, high above the rooftops. At first he ignored it, assuming it was another police helicopter making its usual circuit over Essex. Then the sound reached him. A deep, rhythmic thudding rolled across the clear afternoon sky. Thump, thump, thump. He frowned and looked up. A military helicopter swept across the horizon, flying lower than normal and far faster than anything he'd seen before. Its dark silhouette cut across the blue sky before disappearing beyond the trees. Tommy watched until it vanished. "Bit low, wasn't it?" he muttered. Frank glanced up briefly before returning to his drink. Probably some training exercise. Maybe. Tommy wasn't convinced. Before he could sit back down, another helicopter appeared. Then another. This one was traveling in the same direction. South. Towards London. The conversation around the garden continued for another few seconds before more people started noticing. Ronnie lowered her phone. "Anyone else seeing this?" Mark looked up from his chair, shielding his eyes from the sun. "That's military." Logan counted quietly. 1, 2, 3. Another helicopter emerged from the distance. 4. Nobody laughed anymore. Even the children slowed down, looking towards the sky without really understanding why the adults had suddenly gone quiet. The steady chopping of rotor blades echoed across the neighborhood. One helicopter after another, some transport aircraft, some attack helicopters, all heading in exactly the same direction. None of them slowed. None of them changed course. It was as though something had happened that demanded every available aircraft. Sarah folded her arms. "That's not normal." "No," Tommy admitted quietly. "It isn't." Frank stood from his chair and stared after the last helicopter. "I've seen military exercises before." He paused. "They've never looked like this." The helicopters continued passing overhead for almost 5 minutes, far more than anyone could reasonably explain away. The atmosphere in the garden had changed. The music was still playing, but nobody was listening anymore. Even the birds had fallen strangely silent. Tommy felt an uneasy knot tightening in his stomach. He couldn't explain it. Nothing had actually happened. There were no explosions, no smoke, no sirens, just helicopters. Yet something deep inside him whispered that whatever was happening wasn't routine. It was urgent. Very urgent. Ronnie unlocked her phone. "I'm checking the news." She refreshed it once. Nothing. Again. Still nothing. No updates. Mark frowned. "Try social media." She opened several apps, scrolling quickly. People had uploaded videos. Videos of helicopters. Convoys. Military vehicles. Posts asking questions. Some claimed there had been a chemical spill. Others said there had been a terrorist attack. One video showed dozens of military vehicles racing through London. Nobody knew what was happening. Only that something was. Tara looked towards Tommy. "You think we should head home?" Tommy hesitated. He looked around the garden. At Frank. At the children laughing again now that the helicopters had passed. At the barbecue still smoking gently in the corner. He forced a small smile. "It's probably nothing." Even as he said the words, he didn't believe them. A warm gust of wind drifted through the garden. It carried with it an unfamiliar smell. Faint. Metallic. Almost like rain mixed with burning plastic. Tommy sniffed the air. "Can anyone else smell that?" Frank frowned. "I thought it was just me." The smell disappeared almost as quickly as it had arrived, leaving only silence. Then, from somewhere beyond the back gardens, a dog began barking. Another joined it. Within seconds, the sound spread across the neighborhood, dozens of dogs barking together as if reacting to something none of the people could yet see. Rosalia stopped running and looked towards the fence. "Why are all the doggies barking?" Nobody answered. Because nobody had an answer. Tommy stared towards the end of the garden, his uneasy feeling growing stronger with every passing second. Then, a loud crash echoed from somewhere beyond the fence, followed by a distant scream. Only one, but it was enough. The entire garden fell silent.